this idea that already Descartes was aware of it, that we believe much more than we think, and our beliefs are not some deep Jungian shit deep in us. Our beliefs are out there in our activity. We enact them. So, sorry now to repeat the ultra joke that I repeat in every of my talks. Niels Bohr, you know this old joke, probably you know it. He was visited once by a friend in his country house, and the friend noticed a horseshoe above the entrance to the house. No? And this is, at least in Europe, a superstitious item. A horseshoe above the entrance allegedly prevents evil spirits entering the house. No? So he asked Niels Bohr, oh my God, I thought you are a scientist. Are you superstitious? Do you believe in this? And Bohr gave him a perfect answer. Of course, I'm not an idiot. I don't believe in it, that it works. But he said, I have it there because I was told that it works even if you don't believe in it. No? Like, this is our everyday life. We don't believe in democracy, you vote. You don't believe in law, you know. This is what always fascinates me, how much more we believe in our activity. Here, I think Freud and Marx, as I always repeat, are still of an incredible help. Contrary to what people think, Marx was aware of it when he emphasized that all the theory about commodity fetishism doesn't really cancel fetishism in our actual life. So it's not a question of knowledge. Here, Marx should be read in a very precise way. I mean, don't misunderstood me. I'm very critical of Marx. I'm not fetishizing Marx and so on. But in his theory of commodity fetishism, there is still something worth reading. Namely, where is fetishism for Marx? It is not in what we believe. Marx doesn't propose this simplistic duality, money is really just a means of social exchange, social product, but we idiots think money is something magical, a magical object. No, in our actual beliefs, we are British nominalists. We think money is just a sign which gives you an item, a right to a part of a social product, blah, blah. Fetishist belief is how we use and deal with money in our actual life itself. So when Marx says that ideology means Sie wissen das nicht, aber sie tun es in German. They don't know what they are doing, but they are doing it. Marx does not mean this stupidity. Oh, we are doing something, but we don't know what we are doing. No, it's more twisted. What Marx says is, we don't know what illusions we are actually following in what we are doing. It's a very nice structure where consciously you can know the truth. But illusion is not in what you think as opposed to what you do. Illusion is materialized in your social activity, in what you do. And this is, to come back to what I quoted Krugman and so on, what he was aware. Even if we were to know in 2004 where it leaks, we would still follow the illusions which are in our acts. So I agree with you. The big question is how, when do you change that? And I do work on the answer, but you know, I even doubt if it can be done as a conscious action. How should I put it? That you do, because here things are very mysterious in the sense of you know, this is why I'm so fascinated by Christianity, because I think that something like this happens in Christianity, in a good sense. The Christian, we are all more or less today atheists, but at the same time I claim we maybe believe more than ever, no? We just act on our beliefs. Today's ideology is usually cynical, no? You claim, oh, I don't care, I don't believe in anything, and so on, but in practice you act as if you believe. And I more and more think that maybe even not actually believing in it, it's not only doesn't prevent things from functioning, but it's maybe even a condition of it. This is the traumatic lesson that I learned from my own political past in ex-Yugoslavia, where You know, I'm from Slovenia, which is a small, shitty republic. Everybody knows everybody else, which means, no, I want to say something very precise, which means that for us, General Secretary of the party and so on, this wasn't a person you see once a year on the screen. This was a guy whom it was possible to meet on the street walking. So I knew the situation. And, you know, I noticed something very weird, that in order to become a member of Nomenklatura, top circle, not only you didn't have to take seriously the ruling ideology, but it was obligatory not to take it seriously. Like, you know, I had two friends who were kind of a naive communists. They really believed in self-management, socialism and so on. They lost their jobs because they were perceived by ruling Nomenklatura as dangerous. So you see here how to really all this question of belief and so on, it's so much mystified today. I claim it's crucial to take this into account, that, you know, the usual image we have is the ancient, the old people were naive, they believed it, now we are more reflexive. First, I don't think the ancient, whatever we mean by these people, were naive. You know, a wonderful book by Paul Vane, Did the Ancient Greeks Believe in Their Myths? Where he says, of course they didn't. I mean, they were not stupid. They didn't think if you go on the Mount Olympus, you will see Zeus screwing Athena or whatever. You know, I mean, they knew it. So how did they mean it? How did they mean it? The point is that today we believe more. That's why we need this, if I may be a little bit evil in a friendly way towards my theoretical friends, all this deconstructive jargon. For example, I'm on very good terms with her personally, but this is my ironic stab at her, Judith Butler. She never forgave me for it. Namely, you know, Judith Butler is an intelligent person whom, if you were to ask her, what is this? And now I'm exaggerating ironically. She would never have said, this is a lamp. She would say, if we strategically concede to the essentialist use of language, maybe we can risk the hypothesis just strategically that this is a lamp. No? But what is lost here is the fact that all this distanciation was for the ancient already included in saying this is a lamp. They didn't really mean it, that this is a lamp. Like, again, to go back to Paul Vane, when an ancient Greek said Zeus and so on, he didn't mean it, there is real Zeus. This distance was included. And the reason we have to add all these deconstructionist qualifications, like have the terms often in Derrida and quotation marks, is that basically we are, like, for example, Umberto Eco has a nice text about love, where he said, till now it was possible to say to your lover, I love you. Now we are so afraid that we need a kind of a qualifying distanciation, like, as the poet would have put it, I love you. Maybe I even love you, or whatever. But Eco makes a very intelligent remark where he says, but in the old days, when somebody said, I love you, he meant all this. These distances were included. So I claim today we are not more cynical, sophisticated. We are much more naive, afraid of this literal belief, which is why we had explicitly to include all these qualifications and so on and so on. So again, the precise question that you are asking, I think that some more radical, it's not a matter of simple criticizing ideology, raising consciousness, etc. There has to be beliefs, these radical beliefs only change through some radical social transformations and so on. It's not a matter of enlightening people or whatever. And here I am very split by the phenomenon of today's religious fundamentalism. Like the idea being, but they do really believe. First, I have my doubts. I spoke with some guy who is specialized in so-called terrorist psychology. And he told me it's much more complex. Like if you take a typical terrorist who is ready to bomb himself, no, they are, again, not idiots. Nobody really believes, you know, what we read in our media, oh, if I bomb myself, I awaken in paradise, 72 virgins. First, every Arab knows that this is a mistranslation, no? In original Quran, the term is the term for the best white grape dry raisins, no? And this was mistranslated as virgins. So if you want to be cynical, I like to imagine a terrorist, oh, I blow myself, and then up there, he said, okay, here you have the raisins. No, and he said, sorry, I want back, a mistake, no? This psychologist told me a very interesting thing, that the true reasoning of a suicide terrorist is more something like, I am not sure that I believe, I can prove it to myself by exploding myself. It's a kind of a crazy wager in order to calm his own doubt. On the other hand, fundamentalists, I claim, are doing something horrible. You know what drew my attention? This fact, which maybe explains this a little bit. Did you notice how many fundamentalists or these religious sects use the word science, like Christian Science and so on? This would be an interesting point, what science they mean. But I will immediately end. But my point is that effectively this is why many fundamentalists do not have problems with science. I think they are not believers, they know it in some sense. In the sense that for them, for example, God appeared, reincarnated, all the miracles. This has to be treated like scientific facts. They treat divine, and this is a horrible thing. This is then no longer a religious belief. Authentic religion more is what my friend, an Italian priest, told me. We talked about that Turin shroud, no? And he told me, the most horrible thing that you can imagine for the church is to discover that this really is Christ's shroud. Why? My God. You know what's the first thing to do then? Give me a little bit of blood and let us check it through DNA analysis. Who is Jesus Christ's father, really? No? Then you probably get some some Egyptian slave screwing Mary and so on. But he told me, no, we don't want it. That you must have this uncertainty. For him, this was a blasphemy to take, for example, Immaculate Conception as a fact. But I read some fundamentalists who claim, no problem, they even have a hypothesis. Because if we do this, they claim because God doesn't have a DNA, it will be simply Mary's DNA redoubled. But you know what I mean? Like, for authentic belief, which is why I think that belief and atheism do not exclude each other. Belief, for example, if you believe in human dignity, isn't there something totally crazy in it? It's a kind of a it means people are fat, thin, stupid, evil. I nonetheless believe all of them have a certain dignity and so on. This is belief at its purest. It's always something absurd in an authentic, ethically engaged belief. And it's not a question even of religion and so on. I like to quote, for example, tragic lines, everybody knows them, Anna Frank, precisely when she became aware of all the horrors of the Nazis, she wrote in her diary, but nonetheless I believe there is something eternal and good in every human being. This is belief at its most authentic. It's absolutely counter